internet friends, and welcome back to another edition of AI questions and answers. Once again, these are questions that I have received from people in my network, people wondering about different things. Some of them, these questions were triggered by their own experiences. Others, they were in response to questions that they had from watching the last video. So I have my little tablet here with the questions on them. We're going to go through one by one. We're going to cover 3 to 4 questions in today's video. Again, if these spark any questions for you, or there's been an AI question that you've really wanted to ask someone, don't be shy. I'm going to leave the link to the questionnaire form in the description. You can go ahead and drop your question there, and I will be happy to answer it in a future video. So first off, in my last video, we talked a little bit about using AI when you're in a meeting or working on a project with other people and when that might be an issue. So going off of that, I had someone ask me, what is the best way to tell a client that you're using an AI tool to help you brainstorm for any kind of creative you're making for them? So this really comes down to 2 things. 1, being open with the client, and 2, respecting the client's decisions and preferences around what AI is told about their brand. So first things first, and I am not a lawyer, this is just my advice as someone who works with a lot of clients, makes creative for those clients, and of course, pokes around a lot in the world of AI governance. What I suggest is approaching your client, telling them that you use AI as part of your ideation process or part of your planning process, but then reiterate that, and if this is true, that you're not using AI to produce the final product that they're getting. It's just in the preparatory phase. At that point, you want to ask them if they're comfortable with that. Because, this kind of goes back to the last video talking about how a lot of us will, without thinking, connect an AI note taker to a meeting, like a Zoom meeting, something third party. I know one I see a lot is Firefly's AI. There's Otter AI. A lot of people connect one of those to a meeting to get a summary of the call, but they aren't giving the other attendees a chance to accept or deny that their audio and video is fed into the AI tool. So there is an ownership element to this. And when you feed something into an AI tool, more often than not, permanently becomes part of that AI tool's database of material from which it pulls, from which it learns. So if you're brainstorming for a client, you want to make sure that the client is comfortable with you feeding some information about the project into the AI. 9 times out of 10, if the part of your brainstorming process uses content that already exists on the client's public-facing website, 9 times out of 10, that's already in AI training data, because these tools have largely scraped the entire internet and consumed them as part of their data set. If you are sharing non-public information with the AI, that can become dicier, and you really want to get your clients sign off on that. And they may have questions about what AI tool you're using, how that AI uses your conversations for its training data. So that's something you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. Really be clear on reading the terms and conditions around your plan and how any data you feed into the AI tool is used. Going off of that, I also had someone ask me what tools are best for brainstorming and outlining creative. And this is a really good question, because AI tools are largely promoted as a great brainstorming aid. It's this idea that the AI can replace a conversation you might have with another person. You can bounce ideas off of it. It can help you come up with outlines, plans, ideas, things like that. But AI actually isn't a good brainstorming tool. We feel like it's a good brainstorming tool because we start chatting with it and ask it for quote unquote ideas, and it gives us answers back. But there's a catch. So because AI tools are trained on existing information from the internet, everything you get out of an AI tool is really just a remixed version of something that has existed before. These tools can't actually come up with any completely net new ideas. They may feel new to you because it's something that you personally hadn't encountered online or you personally hadn't thought of before. But when it comes down to it, everything you're getting back as a brainstorm idea is a repurposed version of something that someone has already done. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use these ideas. There's only so many ways to do a lot of different things. And, working in marketing, I know that many websites are producing content on similar topics because we're all trying to get to the top of the search results. But when it comes to brainstorming, if you're only using AI to brainstorm, then you're only ever getting ideas that have existed before. Whereas the human mind can come up with completely net new, novel ideas, completely new takes on something. So ultimately, I'm of the opinion that you are severely limiting yourself if you're only ever brainstorming with AI. An AI tool is much better at looking for patterns in existing data or identifying issues such as punctuation errors in existing content than it is at giving you completely new and novel quote unquote thoughts. It can't think, but thoughts. So I encourage people to not use AI for brainstorming. Your brain has to have challenges to grow as well. And studies have shown, they're starting to show, that if you're not using your brain to do certain tasks that you used to, if you're using AI instead, you start to lose capabilities. Just like if you've been bodybuilding and then you stop going to the gym or you start skipping leg day every day, those muscles aren't going to retain their shape and their volume and their strength. The same with our creative muscle. So I highly recommend that if you've been using AI for brainstorming, to start scaling back on that, because you're actually going to be able to come up with more completely new ideas yourself than you ever will be with the AI. If you want a completely new idea, that's got to come right from your noggin. So someone asked me, can creators see how many times an AI bot has used your creative content and data when suggesting ideas to someone else? So basically, if you have a website, your data has been fed into that tool. It is now part of the corpus of knowledge that makes up the ideas, quote unquote ideas, the remixed statements that the AI is giving to other people. So this person wants to know if there's any way to figure out what has the AI scraped from your site, what is it using, how closely is it reproducing that content and giving it to someone else. There is no way right now to find that out. So a big issue with the AI tools, and this is an issue that is now starting to move through the courts, is around copyright. AI tools are gobbling up information and repurposing it. There have been instances where people are able to essentially hack the chat, and by giving the AI tool specific prompts, they're able to get it to spit back pieces of data from its training database, like in full, verbatim. But that's a very complex process. It takes a lot of time. You're really having to grind away to get that information. But you can assume that if you have had content on your website, it has been picked up by an AI training tool. There's usually a slight delay by anywhere from like 6 to 12 months. So if you had content online anywhere from the end of last year to the middle of this year, 2025, then it's most likely in all of the AI's training data. There's no way for you to see how your creative output is being remixed and used and presented to other people as an ostensibly original output from the AI. Now, there are some ways to see if broadly your data has been in the training set. There are some tools, like one put together by The Atlantic, that lets authors search to see if their name was in a data set that is known to have been used by some AI companies, including Meta. There are also some other platforms like the AI optimization tool that I'm showing on the screen right now that lets you see if your website was included in some training data sets. As you can see here, my website does appear in the Gemini training data set. But again, you can just safely assume that you're in there and your creative work is influencing the output. I also had someone ask me if there was a way to see what specific prompts other people were typing into an AI search tool that was then generating traffic to your website. Unfortunately, we can't see exactly what prompt someone has typed. That is not passed through to any tools that are currently available for end users like you or I. But there's a few things you can do to get a sense for what people are typing. One, you can use an AI optimization tool. There's one that I've used called Otterly AI, not to be confused with Otter, the transcription tool. Otterly AI is an AI optimization tool that lets you see what kinds of prompts are associated with different keywords. So you can type in a list of topics, whether these are topics you want people to be searching for, you want to be associated with, or they're actual keywords, that drive traffic to your website. You can type those into Otterly and it will show you related prompts. Now, these aren't definite one-to-ones. You can't say, oh, well, someone definitely typed that in and it definitely led to my website, but it gives you an idea of the type of prompts people might be typing. Right now, that is about as close as we can get, and it'd be hard to ever pin down exactly what prompts people are typing because we can all phrase the same sentence in so many different ways. You and I could type in a slightly varied version of the same prompt, and while those tools aren't going to feed through that exact verbiage to a website owner, you can get an idea of what sort of the average prompt people are typing in is based on a tool like Otterly. I will be back soon with another video digging deep into some additional topics, including how an AI system works, whether or not it is actually using water like we hear about, and some other questions related to content ownership and outputs. So if you have any questions related to that or other topics about AI, please fill out the questionnaire in the video description and I will be happy to answer your question in a future video.